Some legends consider this great dragon to be the devil fated to destroy the world, while others claim it is the giant who birthed creation. Is there any way for mere humans to quell its unending rage?
Dire Miralis, please, professionalism. A hunter could, in theory, beat you. Honestly. Then again, a black dragon that opens the fight with, the apocalypse is to be feared, but above all, respected. The final of the trio and the largest, Dire Miralis, unlike his brethren, does not take to the skies, no. No, his kingdom is a watery one. Known as the Smelting Black Dragon, he's not so much adapted for an aquatic lifestyle, so much as he simply prefers being submerged. This is because the smelting is no exaggeration. He is a living furnace, his veins aflame, his blood magma. He has internal organs consistently, irrevocably churning out intense lava-esque liquid that pumps round the body, burning as hard as his hatred of all living things. He is heat incarnate. And though his rock-like hide copes as best it can, it's a battle it cannot win without help. The cooling waters then surrounding this giant act like a sword quenching, keeping him from breaking under the power of his own internal inferno. Incidentally though, this habit of cooling down in a nice little bath, gotta treat yourself, Dire Miralis, has a little bit of a knock-on effect. Over a time, slowly but surely, he boiled the sea that he called home, turning it from a life-filled, rich ecosystem into a barren, desolate place, death-reeking, and silence on the air. Not a soul stirs except for Dire Miralis in the now known as Tainted Sea anymore. But the creatures he ruthlessly slew en masse, the extinctions he caused by merely existing, it was no quick death. It was no blink and you're gone. It was agony. The voices of 1,000 life forms crying out in agony as together in grim harmony they scream their last as burns coat their body, their flesh bubbling and their blood seeping out into the very waters, turning the entire ocean a blood red, forever a reminder of the awesome might of this black dragon. And this is all before he actually pays attention to you. I adore Dire Miralis' theme. It is up there as one of the best. Very few manage to achieve a building sense of simultaneously dread and epic purpose that inspires you on in one hell of a climactic battle. It just does things to me. So, very different then from Fatalis and Elatrion and and a lot less is known about him than either of those. Obviously, his watery nature makes him stand apart. The arena you fight him in is half and half, allowing at least what was at the time the best of both worlds when it came to the core Monster Hunter experience. Because Dire Miralis was added back when water combat was all the rage. Fighting underwater against great leviathans, whether you remember it as "Oh, these fucking controls! Oh, what have they done to my Monster Hunter?" or
This is a neat little experience. I like this. It's a nice little change.
or somewhere in between. Everyone has their feelings on underwater combat. Probably those of you that haven't even played it, if I'm completely honest. I, for one, at the time, was very but as time has gone on, and especially now with World, I do think if they brought it back, it has potential, and they have the ability to make it absolutely enthralling. I don't think it should be fully written off. I feel like there is something there just waiting to be realized. But I don't want to get too sidetracked with that. Dire Miralis, then, is very slow, a lumbering beast, very much the body shape of Fatalis. In fact, very literally, that's the skeleton that it's used on, and indeed, some people do believe him to be a form of Fatalis himself. One long since removed, but indeed directly related. But it takes one look to look. It takes one look to look. It takes but one look at him to see he is very much his own creature. A jagged, rough exterior, seemingly random like a cliff face. It's as dangerous to the touch as it is effective at repelling even the most furious of onslaughts. His limbs short compared to his mammoth, thick body. It cannot be understated how alarmingly fucking massive he is for a black dragon. A crest of frill shape adorning his head, and all in all, I think he is a lovely looking chap. Definitely the most visually striking of the three. And look, when you consider the glow, the lines of power streaking through him, his magma-like substance filling his every pore as it bubbles to the surface, you can feel unbridled rage swirling like a vortex, imperceptible around him. It is quite the terrifyingly beautiful sight. I like your wings, they fused into a funnel-like shape. And these, coupled with the other four, let's call them chimneys, lining his body, allows him to have an outlet with which to eject at great force the unceasing magma inside, sending it spiraling skywards before it comes tumbling back down to earth in a great caustic explosion of burning, decimating land and life alike, leaving nothing the same ever again. Hunters seldom come back from an encounter with Dire Miralis, and those that do are treated and remembered as legends. This on-demand Armageddon contains such force, such capacity to shred the earth and leave it a burning ruin as he passes, that it allows him to indulge in his favourite hobby, sinking islands. Oh yeah, by the way, sometimes, right, he likes to stay in the tainted sea, you know, he did kill everything there for some privacy, so you do expect him to use it, but every now and then he does get a bit bored, so he pops out for a lovely day trip on a Sunday afternoon, visits an island, and sinks it. Absolutely sinks the fucker, punching hole after hole in it with his rain of death until it crumbles away to the depths, killing everything eating the floating corpses left behind, and then heading home for a nice kip. Essentially, this is how Dire Miralis interacts with the world. But at least, because he removed every other monster from the Tainted Sea, and it's a large place, and Dire Miralis is very reclusive, despite him not being a fan of the whole things being alive concept, he doesn't generally seek conflict. It means that sailors can sail through the still crimson waters without being attacked.
So I got that going for me, which is nice.
Finally then, should one stand victorious atop Dire Miralis, one might wish to carve out its heart as proof, a token of your newfound legacy. You hold it high above your head, a triumphant yell echoing across this empty realm. You would hear, for the heart of a Dire Miralis keeps beating long after it's dead. In fact, it's said it can regrow its entire body from the heart alone if it's not destroyed utterly. It is said that a Dire Miralis is immortal, an intrinsic part of the world order. That's quite the claim. Now obviously that is Pokédex levels of a little bit over the top, shall we say, and I find it hard to fully believe, but Black Dragons, well, what are you gonna do? It's Black Dragons. At that point, everything, all logic goes out the window. Definitely, yeah, it takes me out of it with my very much realistic-ish, animalistic approach, but I can't deny he's a lot of fun. At least the first couple times. He does get dull rather quickly. His fight isn't the best in the world. He just likes to try and slowly physically knock you about and sort of hope that passively his meteors get you, and the underwater combat doesn't help because that's slow too, and I don't know, I just feel like for a Black Dragon fight, it lacks the kind of intensity that both Fatalis and more so Elatrion bring to the table. It feels more like a nice little stroll in comparison, but maybe that's just me. But I don't consider a Black Dragon trying to crush me with its tail the most "oh no" thing I've ever faced. Though admittedly it does have one fancy, pretty damn neat trick left up its sleeve, and that is Armor Mode. When it reaches to half health, it essentially and at this point it bounces all weapons away harder than a bead of sweat in a hula hoop champion's skirt. You're not going to get through. You have to very specifically, delicately target the few remaining weak points. Even Purple Sharpness is no match for an armoured up Dire Miralis. Once it leaves this mode, it is sufficiently weakened and near death. So it's a nice way to see how you're getting along in the fight. It's okay, fine, I'll take this seriously. Trump card, at least defensively speaking. It's armour. It's fine, I guess. I've never really minded it either way. And generally, if we're going to talk about it coming to World, look, firstly, it's got underwater combat, so that already kind of puts a nail in the coffin, which is sad, because there's lots of really neat monsters we might never get to experience again. Like Gobule! Hi! But if we ignore that caveat, then I still don't think it'd be a great fight. He'd need quite a few little changes, a tune-up, a bit speedier, and a larger variety of attacks just to really make his fight as epic as it should be. Because on paper, it really should be. He's got some badass legends and so-called abilities and hearsay about him, and I want to see that in the fight. I really do. I kinda could dig the idea of him, well, coming to the new world and slowly but surely lumbering through the ocean and boiling it as he gets here and causing a huge crisis, and he has to be driven off because it's absolutely crippling the ecosystem surrounding the island. Hell, maybe even have him bump into the Zorro he sent out to sea, and that kind of starts the whole conflict and leads ultimately to the creation of a new island and life like the common Zorro theory, and what we have to do is stop Dire Miralis from immediately going, it'd be a shame if someone was to sink that. And it kind of ties into, well, defending the new map, as it were, from its first major threat. You'd be walking along the coast and seeing the waves actually steaming as they lap onto the shore, signifying he is nearby. Could be kind of cool, right? But he's not up there on the priority list. Let me know what you guys thought about him. Let me know what you'd like to be lorified next time. Like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more. Goodbye.
Rage Gaming with the video float.
But that's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you even though the outro's no longer that kind of relevant. But the new one's being worked on and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.